Welcome to the Play Ed 3 podcast, where you're the reoccurring guest, whether you're in the classroom or shaping education behind the scenes. I'm Tisha Poncio.
And I'm Rick Butterworth. Together, we bring stories, insights, and conversations that matter to educators, learners, and change makers. Our goal is to bring everyone together to learn, grow, and play.
Welcome to the Play Ed 3 podcast, everybody. I'm Tisha, and I'm here with my co-host, Rick. Hi, Rick.
You made that sound so like, I want to say depressing in a sense.
It wasn't depressing.
It's like, I'm Tish, I'm here with the podcast, and I'm here with my co-host, Rick. It's like, I've got this person with me, you know. He just sits there. I mean, yeah, I do sit there, actually, to be honest. If we look at all the previous episodes where we've had the guests, we have to admit that I am the one that's just kind of sat there listening to you.
You don't get to sit here on these episodes. I do think, we've done some reflection exercises today. On this fine Saturday.
Yeah.
We've done some really lengthy, a couple of hours of reflection exercises. And what I will say is I believe that you're getting uncomfortable, aren't you?
I'm readjusting many times. I'm probably going to be fidgeting.
But why?
I don't know. Just getting myself settled in.
Okay, let me redo this. We'll start over. You want me to start over, or are we just going to keep going?
I think we'll just keep going.
Keep
going.
We did some reflection exercises, which I know we talked last time about, is the art of debate dead?
Yeah. Or can we actually debate in today's world, really?
You're saying it in the great PC way. I'm just going to say, I think maybe the art of debate is dying. But you and I just had a very heated debate. I do wish we had been
We'd actually recorded that.
Because
we got heated.
I said last time that people don't see the debates that we have.
No.
And they do get very, very heated. It's very, very interesting because you and I both, don't think people know this about us, but we're both very
stubborn.
Yeah. We are both very stubborn, and we not in all aspects, I would say, Rick. Okay.
No, we're not in all aspects, but I think what makes it interesting is the fact that people see us out and about. They see us on videos, listening to podcasts, all that kind of stuff. Or they know us
from Wakelet, or they know us from Smart and Lumio, or they know us from a conference, right?
Exactly. Yeah. They see a side of us which is happy and cheerful, and we get professional.
I am happy and cheerful even whenever I debate you.
But that's not my point. My point is that we're going to end up having another heated argument at this point.
We should. That's what I was leading up to.
That's what you're basically basically. Tish is the instigator for all these.
No, that's not true.
No, people see us in this particular way, but if you were to have like a fly on the wall experience of me and Tish trying to work on something or having a discussion about something, it is, I wouldn't say the complete opposite, because it's not like we go from really happy and joyful to extreme hatred of each other.
No.
But we definitely, when Tish and I's opinions differ, they clash. We get heated, don't we?
I know. I think the better way to explain it, okay, let's give an analogy. You know, I love analogies. But it's like, okay, our podcast is the Play Ed 3 podcast. Let's pretend like all of us, Rick, me, all of you listening, we're on the playground at school, right? And we're there for recess. It's time for recess. We've been waiting all day to go out and like have sunlight and air. And we're outside, and all of us are together, and Rick is like, okay, guys, today we're going to play kickball. And I'm like, no, actually what we're going to do first is we're going to split ourselves up into teams, and we need to have 2 teams. Let's think about how our teams are going to be structured. And Rick is like, we're going to play ball right now. I have the ball. Let's kick it and go. And I'm like, hold on. Let's look at exactly how we want to structure this. Do we have the right amount of people? Do we need to recruit somebody from the other friend group? And that's where we butt heads. Yes, we're going to play kickball. Rick wants to start right now.
Just get going.
And I'm like, you know what? Maybe we should think about how this is going to go. Have we established the rules?
Yeah, you to be honest, it actually feels more like let's go. We'll team up in teams and whoever's left will kind of sort out. You're very much of like, no, we need team captains. Everybody picks individually so that it looks a bit more fair. And I'm just like, look, we've got 20 minutes of recess. Let's just get this over and done with. Because if we go down Tisha's approach, we're going to get to 17 minutes into a 20-minute recess. Kick the ball once, and the next thing, the teacher's going to be calling us in for class.
That's true.
But it also means that there's the high possibility that one team's going to be massively like they're advantaged over the other.
Exactly. I think that's really it. I mean,
there's pros and cons to both sides.
Always. That's always the case. And the truth of the matter is, our debate today before we hit record was very much Tisha saying, Rick, I need to do this thing. Do you have the thing that I am thinking I need? And Rick is just looking at me like, no, I do not have that. I have all these other things. And I'm like, okay, well, for me, I even said that a couple of times. Like, for me, I need this. And if you don't have it, that's okay. But I need to go create this for me so that my brain can catch up to you. And so it really was a matter of me accommodating for how my brain works and my memory. You are good at kind of keeping things up in your head and they float around there. And like, I guess you pull them down when you need them. I can't do that. I need a spreadsheet. And then you started making fun of me after the fact that I like spreadsheets, and I never thought I would be that person. Shout out to Alice Keeler, though, because she loves spreadsheets too. But I never thought I would be like so in spreadsheet world. And I think that the job that I do, my day job, it's kind of refined my ability to do spreadsheets. I already really kind of liked them, but I needed to see something from a much bigger, like I needed to zoom out. And Rick was like really far in, and I was like, let's zoom out, just like with the kickball. So yes, we debate on the regular. And it gets heated, and we don't
get heated all the time, but we definitely debate all the time.
Well, that one was heated. It was.
That was heated.
I think maybe, you know what? I think it really what it is. And I know Claudia is probably listening and laughing. She tells me she listens to us and she like cracks up. But, you know, the thing is, it might just be that subconsciously we were refining our ability to debate with each other.
Absolutely. We're always refining our way to debate against each other. But I think what I find amusing is we had a heated debate. Whether you'd call it an argument.
I call it arguments sometimes.
Yeah, I call it arguments, but at the same time.
Actually, Rick thinks it's a fight, like a knock down, drag out fight. And I am like, oh, I thought we were just having a conversation. I thought we were talking.
Well, that even when we're having an argument, I'm like, Tish, we've just like our argument. And you're just like, that wasn't an argument. That was just a conversation. I'm like, what do you refer to as an argument?
Sadly, Rick, and we've talked about this, but for all of our listeners, sadly, my personal life experiences have taught me something different about arguing and fighting.
I don't think it's your personal life experience. I think it's a cultural difference. Whereas Americans can go at it.
Do you like my mug?
Brits. You threw me off last time with that mug. If you're listening on anything other than YouTube, Tish has a Minecraft mug that is literally the same size as her head. That is not a joke. That is not. She literally.
Does it fit? I think
if you are listening, yes, it does fit. Okay. If you are listening, you need to go and watch it on YouTube. At this point in the video to see her holding the mug in front of her face to see that it's actually the same size.
Rick, you could maybe do a short clip in that moment.
I'll just do a screenshot. That'll just say, yes, Tish has a mug the size of her head.
I just wanted to throw you off.
Yeah, you just completely threw me off. I
I
can't even
needed
remember.
to.
You know what? Let's
It's a
continue the
segue.
let's move on.
Yes,
Yeah,
we have
let's
to move on. Because do you
segue
know
to
what
our next thing.
today's episode is?
What is today's episode?
Technology.
Mm-hmm.
Did it
That's no
escalate?
surprise.
Did it escalate quickly? You know,
Yeah.
Ron Burgundy.
Romberg, I love
That
Anchorman.
escalated quickly.
That escalated quickly. I don't know if there's any. Are you an Anchorman fan? The movie, not Anchorman in general, but
I feel like you've just thrown me off with all of that.
you threw me off, so I'm going to throw you off.
Who's
So
the character that plays Anchorman?
you mean Ron Burgundy, Will Ferrell?
Yeah, I'm a Will Ferrell fan. I like Will
Ah.
Ferrell. Love Will Ferrell.
Will Ferrell. Oh yeah, I agree.
From like the
Will
90s,
Ferrell, I do.
Will Ferrell. But I've only seen Anchorman a couple of times. That's what I've got for you.
I love
it.
Anchorman. I had it on DVD, then I bought it on iTunes, so I have a digital copy.
Do you watch it like often?
Fairly often. I would probably say I watch it maybe 2 or 3 times a year. The good thing is, Tisha's trying to put me off again, but my screen with her on is there, and my camera's here, and I'm just staring at the camera. So I'm trying to blank her out at the moment, which is not a hard thing to do.
To say about your podcast host.
You introduced me with, and my co-host, Rick.
I didn't mean to. I was trying to like create a mood.
If you want the mood to be like the British weather.
Sorry. It is raining here, by the way.
Thankfully, it's not here. It's just cold. Okay, so again, you've thrown me off again,
Sorry,
Tish.
I'll go back to it. Technology. Did it escalate quickly?
Let's go back to that segue. No, I don't think technology has escalated quickly. There's a smoke in my glasses.
Tell us more. Why do you think it hasn't?
Well, I think the big thing, we can talk about AI over and over and over and over, like, oh, it's come out of nowhere, it's taken over and all this. But I think we've been using technology for decades. The internet got introduced publicly in the 90s with the joyful screeching sound of dial-up. And we've evolved into having computers, massive computers, to now devices that we have in our hands, even wearables like watches and now glasses.
Mm-hmm.
And do we say it escalated quickly? No, it took so many years to actually get to where we are. And it hasn't been a sudden shift in humanity of how we use technology. It's been a progressive thing that has adapted into our lives, and we've essentially accommodated things that we were doing for years and years and years with technology. And also the generations that grow up with technology, like millennials, are the only ones that actually experienced no technology to then have technology as a standard.
Millennials? No.
Yes.
The Gen Xers are the last ones.
No, the millennials are the last ones.
I'm not going to argue. You're not pulling me into this argument, but I am right.
No, you're not.
Our viewers can vote via comment.
So we're going to share this out to millennials only.
Oh, no, we're not. Okay. Well, here's what I think. I think it depends on who you are, how you answer that question. Technology escalating quickly. It depends on who you are. If you are someone who is in a couple of generations before millennials, you're going to say, well, yeah, it's so fast and it's moving so fast that I feel like I'm left behind. And if you ask someone who is like a Gen Z, do you think they would answer differently?
No, I think a lot of people will answer in the same way, whether they're Gen Z, Boomer, Gen X, Millennial, Gen Alpha, because
so you're telling me that...
Go on.
You're telling me that you believe that technology has not escalated quickly, and you're
Yeah.
telling me that the majority of people in the world are gonna agree with you.
No, I think majority of people will think that it has escalated quickly because
Yeah.
the thing is, when we look at right now, let's look at the exact situation we're in at the moment. AI has, do I say dominated? It's dominated the media.
AI is
It's
dominant
the popular
AI
thing right
is
now.
the popular it's the popular, like, trend.
It's the trend at the moment.
But, do you wanna hear something interesting?
Go on.
I talk to a lot of educators on a daily basis, and it isn't just for this podcast, it isn't just for my job. I actually was on a Zoom call last night with some teacher friends that I used to teach with, and what I love about teachers is that they're gonna be raw and authentic about what they think, and they
Mm,
should be. They're the ones in
yeah,
the classroom
absolutely.
doing it, and one of the teachers that I've talked to this week specifically said, "Everybody's talking about AI. Everybody's focusing on AI. All the technology platforms are focusing on AI. We are tired of talking about AI. Give me something that is going to help me be a better teacher. Give me something that's going to help me get my students where they need to be. Give me something simple. It's getting to where it's oversaturated in their brains, and I think maybe are you going to debate this with them, Rick?
No, I agree with the whole approach of AI is saturated and stuff. My point that I was getting to just before you brought up your
Sorry, I
story,
interrupted. Sorry.
I'm used to it. What did we do with computers? What did we do with social media? What did we do with the internet? Like, they become popular, they become trendy, we're all talking about the same thing, and then it becomes irrelevant, or it just
Mhm.
becomes another thing on the side that
Are
we're
you thinking
using.
AI is gonna become irrelevant?
Yeah, because something else will become popular and trending. And AI just becomes a byproduct of our day-to-day lives,
So do
just
you
like social media, and
in a sense, you agree
it becomes an expectation rather
mm,
than a, oh, new shiny toy. Like,
so in a sense, you agree with her. You agree with, like, we're tired of talking about
but
it,
I
like, it's
feel
been
like we've
so
been saying that
trendy.
every single time with every single thing. So why don't we change the habit of, oh, I'm sick and tired of hearing about AI? Well, we said that about social media. We said that about this thing and this thing and this thing. How about we stop going with the trend of the new shiny toy and actually, you've got me on my soapbox now.
Good.
Why don't we just stop actually moaning about the new trendy thing, and just, if we ignore it and not make it a trendy thing and actually focus on what it is we want and always stick with it, then we'd be fine. We wouldn't actually be dealing with
Well, I think what
new
you're
trendy
saying
thing.
what you're saying is really
It's like we're trying to go backwards, but we're not willing to turn around.
well, I think what you're also saying is know what your goal is. If we just focus on the goal of AI, for example, or we just focused on the goal of social media, or we just focused on the goal of technology in classrooms, we're forgetting, kind of like at the beginning of our call, our debate. I wanted to zoom out. I wanted to zoom out a bit. I wanted to see from an aerial point of view. I
Mhm.
was too close. You had me, like, really looking at some things in the weeds, and I wanted to come out and go, "Okay, yes, I see that, but I wanna see what else is over, the overview, and I wanna see how are they working together?"
And that's the thing. I'm still looking in the weeds because I'm also looking at, well, we're talking about AI in this way, but we've talked about a different thing in the same way as we're doing with AI right now.
I agree.
And I'm just like, that's why I get into the weeds of these things, because there is more to look at it rather than just, we need to stop talking about AI and go back to processors. The underlying factor is, we keep doing the same thing just with a new shiny thing
Yeah.
every time.
Yeah, we're doing the
It's a
same
new
thing,
shiny
yes.
toy. We're acting honestly, and I might annoy some people here. We're acting like toddlers when a new toy gets presented to them. We ignore the one that we've just been playing with for the last 5 minutes, which was the new shiny toy then, and go to the brand new one that's just been presented to us. And we'll go on to the next one and on to the next one and never go back to the ones that we were originally playing with.
Well, don't you think that so kind of like I always tell everyone, and I think you know this about me, I love the study of people. I love to study the trends of people, the behaviors of people. Like I'm always observing patterns of people, patterns of technology, patterns of what people are saying. And, I talked about the playground. Think about it. And I can tell you how the kind of kid I was, okay? So like and I'm still like that to an extent, but if somebody says to me over and over and over, "Tisha, you need to read this book. Tisha, you should read this book. Tisha, this book is so good." Or "This movie, you have to see it. I've been 7 times. You have to go see it. It's going to resonate with you."
7 times you need to.
Do you know what I'm going to say? That's awesome for you. I don't want to do that. I'm not trying to jump on a trend bandwagon. I am, and I think you know that about me before we even actually met. I was like that with Wakelet.
Yeah.
I sort of zoomed out and started assessing everything. And if an influencer is telling me that I have to have a new pair of pants every 2 months or a new pair of shoes or this or that, I'm immediately not following them because I think you're going to see a shift in even that. I think the behavior of people, it, like you said, is backtracking. It's like there is a resistance to influencers now. And I'm going to tell you what I heard yesterday at the coffee shop. I went to the coffee shop that I always go to, and of course there are, 16 to 20-year-olds working there, and I always have conversations with them and kind of ask things. And they said, "Yeah, I just want a simple life. I just want life to be more simple." And I said, "Oh, that's interesting. What do you mean about that? And, just tell me more." And they said, "Well, there's a trend on TikTok, and I'm not sure if you've seen it, but everybody wants to revert back." And if you're not watching this, probably don't, because Rick's face is very painful looking right now, and we're not sure why. But let me continue.
Continue, because I'm going to literally get so annoyed right now.
But I believe that it's because our memories, so think about it, our memories remember certain times, certain years, certain moments in life. We're always going to remember it in a happier way than maybe the reality of it was. And I think sometimes when we're looking at technology or AI, we're like, well, wow, what has our world come to? It was so much better way back when, right? And I've seen the trend in antiquing and finding vintage things. I've been part of that. I love to go back and like reminisce about the things that I grew up with. I think it's interesting the different age groups, and I'm always going to go to that. Different age groups are going to react differently, but I think you're onto something. I don't think that everybody is on the AI bandwagon, actually.
No, I agree that most people aren't on the AI bandwagon, but I think that the whole idea of vintage and all this kind of stuff, everything goes in trends.
Me wearing my vintage Mickey sweatshirt today. I'm not sure why you are poking fun at Mickey right now, but I am offended.
Hold on, I'm not poking fun at Mickey. What I'm saying is you're seeing a large increase of people. I mean, it's been going on for a number of years, but people getting vinyl records, playing vinyls.
Yes.
The people that I know that are into vinyl records were not born when vinyl records became popular.
I know. Yes.
And that's the thing, is I'm looking at it and going, okay, they've evolved from maybe had a little bit of a taste of tape, cassettes. Mainly CDs will be their big thing, then MP3s, then we go into things like the iPod and now streaming platforms. And they're going back to something that they never actually had. So really, they're just trying something different to what they're used to. Everything's
don't you think that's just
easy.
natural human behavior, though, to try something that you've not tried before? There's a fascination.
Absolutely. But we never go
that.
back to what we originally had ourselves. We go for what is not what is something that we've not actually used before. You were saying to me about, oh, we just want a simpler time, or we're being
Mhm.
resistant to influencers. Well, we were also resistant to Facebook when we realized all our
Mhm.
data was being shared. Well,
Well, that's a great point.
now we're using AI, so our
It's a
data's
great
still.
point. It's a great
And the
point.
thing is,
Oh, I like this.
OpenAI, it's confirmed that OpenAI, you can actually search for people's prompts through Google, meaning it's not actually private. Your conversations
So I want
are
to
there
talk about
available. So
this. I
they,
hadn't even planned this because we're kind of talking about the good, bad, and the ugly of technology right now.
yes, we are.
But you brought up Facebook, and I actually posted something the other day about it because what I have noticed, and I go into my settings pretty regularly on all social media platforms because I'm always critiquing the settings. If I do an update, are they automatically changing the settings that I had previously? Yes. The answer is yes. And I can tell you, I didn't put this in my post, but what I was finding is on Facebook and on Instagram and on TikTok, anytime those apps were updated, even if I had previously turned off political content and turned off inappropriate content and turned off certain things, every time it gets updated, it is turning those back on for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I have discovered I have to go in often and check. And the maintenance of that is ridiculous. But it also tells me that now more than ever, that what we are seeing and what we are hearing and what we're debating about, and what we're talking about, and all of the things that are being brought up to our FYP, our For You page or whatever, it's being controlled a lot
Oh
of times
yeah.
without us knowing it. And the posts that other people are posting or sharing a lot of times cannot be verified if you
Oh yeah.
sat there and verified it, because a lot of the things are just pulling misinformation. If they're looking it up on ChatGPT, it's pulling even the misinformation. So now we're multiplying it by a billion. So I have a
Yeah.
challenge for you here. I want to talk to you about this because it
Okay.
is something that it's along the same lines. I saw a video yesterday about billionaires and how there were, just very minimal amount of billionaires in like the 80s, and
Mm.
as technology has evolved, there are more and more billionaires. And the whole premise of this video was saying the billionaires have to make their money somehow. So they're going to need to make money off of you. And how are they going to do it? They're going to use technology. And I'm sure anybody listening has seen this shift, but like on TikTok, people that I used to follow that I genuinely, authentically loved their authentic, real videos and content, now they're pushing buy this in the TikTok store. Like it'd be like me with my little Mickey shirt here, like I'm talking about AI, and then there's a little cart in the corner where you can buy my shirt if you want to be like me. And it's becoming so much of that. And Gary Vee is one of the ones that said that years ago, because I follow
Mm.
him as well. He said years ago that is going to be where the shift goes, and he's not wrong. Everybody is shilling out, buy this, buy this, buy that, do this.
Mm.
And why do you think that is, Rick? Do you think it's because the billionaires want to make more money off of all of us?
No, it's freaking consumerism. We're too fixated on buy, quick
It is
actions, and
consumerism. Who's controlling all of that, do you believe? The
the major
consumerism.
tech companies that
Who
enforce
who
this, or
who are they
society, the
listening to?
media, and celebrities, influencers, all these different things.
So interesting. Okay, so here's what I want to know. What good has technology done to positively impact our lives? What good?
So I would say the biggest thing for technology that's done good is actually accessibility.
Okay.
Um, and if we actually look at what did people who have challenges on what they're trying to do, whether they're visually impaired or they're partially deaf or they've
Mhm.
got um, motor challenges, technology, not just in digital form, but in physical form, has allowed them the freedom to consume or use products to do specific particular things. And I think that's an incredible thing that technology has done and has been amazing. Like, I mean, Microsoft released an accessible controller for people with mobility issues, meaning they're not being excluded from gaming.
Yes.
That is a level that we should be going to.
Yes.
But if we look at like the bad or the ugly,
you want to go back to the bad?
Yeah, I do a little bit, because one of the things that I'm noticing when it comes to doing user experience design with websites, content that we have or applications that we have require very little input from the user with a high volume of output. So companies are pushing content at us. Like, you can sign up to TikTok or Instagram or YouTube as a brand new user, put in very little information, and you could be instantly doom scrolling.
Yeah.
And as you're going
100%.
through more and more, it's constantly learning and adding more content.
But there's a fine line.
There
is a fine line between, yes, because I agree with you on the accessibility, especially for my ADHD. Like, there are things with technology that help me so much in my day-to-day. But there is a fine line. And if you know anybody with ADHD, you know that doom scrolling, we have difficulty pulling ourselves out of an activity. So if we're like if we're deep diving something, it's hard to pull out of it, right? And it creates this level of mindfulness. Now, one of the things that I've seen out there, and we've talked about this a couple of times, is going no technology for a whole day, a whole 24 hours, no technology, no video games, no computers, no phones, no Wi-Fi. You're making another face. I think you know what? We're going to have so many good bloopers because you've made more faces on this episode than you ever have.
Yeah, I mean, you're pulling the Minecraft mug up again. It distracted me. But I'm going to make sure that I don't forget what I'm trying to say.
I'm sorry. I just am having some water.
I get that,
it's
but
the
you've
Playa
got
3 podcast.
Right? I know. It's just such a big square.
Is it because it doesn't match like my aesthetic, which is typically like this?
Yeah, it was so random when I first saw it that I was not expecting that kind of mug shape to appear. I would refer that to as a builder's mug.
What does that mean, a builder's mug?
So a builder's mug in the UK, and I'm going off a complete tangent from what I was originally wanting to talk about, but a builder's mug, when we're talking about a cup of tea in the UK, a builder's mug is usually a massive mug that's larger than the average size.
Is it like a plowman's lunch?
Maybe. I don't know. This is where
Where's Amy Parks when we need her? I think we already talked about this there once. I don't know. I wanted it to be fun. I had a fun mug. I try to make these episodes fun, so you aren't seeing me. What you all don't know, before we got here, Rick made fun of my outfit that I was wearing because he was like, "Is this a corporate webinar? Why are you dressed up in that blazer?"
Yeah, I'm there in usual like casual attire. And Tish turns up like we're going to have a business meeting with investors or something.
We did have a business meeting. Clearly, the COO of Playa 3 had to lead you through the business meeting before we got here.
It's true. Yes, I will understand that. But at the same time, I was not expecting it. Honestly, it felt like I was in a board meeting or something.
Wow.
Rather than jumping on a call and having a chat. Anyway, going back to what I was just saying, I've already forgotten
many tangents for you this episode.
I've already forgotten it. But one thing I you know what? I'm probably not going to pull. What were you talking about before?
I'm so sorry. You just make me laugh so hard this episode. We were talking about accessibility. We were talking about ADHD. We were talking about the fine line between pulling ourselves out, the addiction of
You were saying
technology.
about the infinite scrolling and pulling it. Oh, and you said
Doom
about
scrolling.
unplugging for a day. That's where it
Yeah.
started to go. And I was pulling a face because I look at that like someone's trying to quit cigarettes. And it's like, oh, I'm going to quit cigarettes. I'm only doing it for a day, but it will mean I quit cigarettes for a day. It doesn't do anything.
It does do something.
No, it doesn't.
Does,
It
yes,
literally
Rick.
means that I get to stop and then I
Rick,
go back into my habit.
No. Listen, remember back in 2020 when we had the pandemic and it was like everything just kind of stopped. If you remember that?
Yeah. We were forced to not go outside.
For a day, what it will do is it is helping to regulate your nervous system. I promise for a single day, because I don't have all of the research up and I don't have any doctors to join me on this call. But what I would say to you is it's just like if I give you the challenge, because I'm doing the 40 Days of Thankfulness challenge. I've been doing that since like 2008. And we do that for 40 days every year. It's just taking time every day to be grateful. Over the course of time, if you do one day a week, think about that. One day a week for a year of no technology is already benefiting you.
Yeah.
Than
now
the year
there's
before.
a difference. Now we're getting to a different place because if I said, oh, I'm going to disconnect from the internet for one
Your
day
birthday.
for my birthday once a year, is that actually going to help me?
No.
But if I do it
never said that.
consecutively once a day, once a week, for an entire year, will have benefits. However, I would say cutting down on technology usage.
Well, how do you cut down? Because listen, the majority of us out there, and this is the truth, the majority of us out there, and you included, our work, our lives, everything revolves around technology. Like, right?
Here's an easy
If we
one.
take it away, then what?
Here's an easy one.
Okay, what?
For anyone that wakes up in the morning and looks at their phone as their first thing that they do, how about you don't do that from now on?
I can't stop. I can't stop. It's where my alarm is. I have to look at the alarm to turn it off.
Okay, I'll use what Simon Sinek used. I've got $9. I'll buy you an alarm.
I have one of those also, and the noise is irritating so much. I just can't.
Then it means you'll turn it off quicker.
Listen, Rick, you and I have had conversations about this.
This is where me and Tish will have our debates.
But we've talked about this because we agree. I mean, we've had a similar experience. Like we were talking about when we were younger, like it was very difficult for me to wake up. It is the ADHD. It takes me a good 2.5 hours for my brain to even be ready to have a conversation.
I completely agree.
Right? But when I was younger, the alarm was not working. It just didn't work. I just tuned it out. Same thing with Jace. He does the same thing. My dad used to turn on the lights in my bedroom, which are the same lights. It reminded me of the classroom. And it hurts my eyes. So I would just close my eyes. I would not get up. And then he resorted to coming and spraying me with water, which I feel like is a very extreme thing. He didn't know I had ADHD. I didn't know. I just thought it was horrible. And I still struggle with getting up, even as an adult. So it wasn't something I was doing on purpose. The phone, I can set it to a nice, gentle ringtone. And I'm like, okay. All right, my brain is like, yes, but that thing over, I know what you're talking about, the $9 Walmart alarm is not going to be the thing for me. If somebody you want to invest in a Nest for me, Rick, I will take that. I'll give you my address, send it through Amazon. I bet that would be successful.
Okay. Well, here's another option.
What?
Why you've got Siri and Alexa, why don't you use them for doing the alarm?
I do, but it's still technology.
It's still technology, but you're not looking at a screen.
Well, I actually am because I use the home app on my phone. I do. I am using it.
Do you see my point, though? How about if you weren't to look at a screen first thing when you wake up?
I do
Because
understand
that's
the
proven that
science. I
by
know.
not
I
doing
know.
it yet. You know where I'm coming from anyway.
You're
So-
right, but I'm just giving you the reality, and I think I'm sure some of our listeners are relating to me right now because I know
I
the
agree
right
with you, because
answer.
I do exactly the same thing as you. What I'm saying is, what I argue against is taking a day not using any technology is not the right way to go about it, in my
I agree.
opinion.
I
By
agree.
changing one thing, and the sleeping one is just an example, there are multiple things we can do to actually enhance our experience and condense the amount of
I
use
agree.
of technology through a
Yes.
day-to-day life.
Yes,
Now
I agree
then,
with you.
I do want to pull us back. This is what happens with our ADHD. I feel like Ross Noble right now. And if you don't know who Ross Noble is, he's a British comedian, massive ADHD, but he's brilliant. He has a sketch and everything, and he deviates all over the place. And he's just fantastic. Check him out on YouTube anyway. Not a plug for him. We were talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly when it comes to technology. And one thing I do want to pull back on, I was mentioning about UI design or UX design, where we're inputting very little for a huge output. The one good thing I do have with AI is that we're inputting a lot for very little output.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, it's learning our conversations as we're moving forward. However, the amount of information that we actually obtain compared to the volume we put in is drastically different. And the thing is, we may get put in prompts, short couple of sentences, but we may need to filter and really be more specific on what we're wanting. We're having to be a bit more critically thinking about what we're wanting to obtain for the amount of output that we get compared to what we have right now.
Well, I'm agreeing with that, actually.
That's that.
All of what you said.
My only point is, the good of AI is it's actually bringing back a little bit more critical thinking than what current applications like TikTok and Instagram actually do from a critical thinking perspective. I think there's more critical thinking in place with ChatGPT than there is with TikTok, in my honest opinion. And I probably might get some people saying you're completely wrong, but
Well,
that's
we want you to disagree with Rick because we want to practice the art of debate.
We want you to disagree. What about disagreeing with? Are they allowed to disagree with you, Tish?
Absolutely,
okay,
they're allowed
just
to disagree with me. Yes, I think what it is it really comes down to the decisions that you're making every day. So now it's social media and AI. Before it was like MySpace and just being on the computer and video games and
MSN,
and then it was TV, and then it was like being on the phone. Like you could backtrack this. What it really comes down to is being able to make solid decisions about how you are using your time and being able to critically think through, is this over time going to be more problematic for me, or is over time this going to be better for me? And depending on who you're following, who you're listening to, who you're watching, you are either going to have a great experience with social media or a negative experience. And I don't believe that those of us, as you said, millennials, Gen X, we weren't built to have the skills. We had to create these environments of support over time, and then also be teaching the people younger than us. And it is a lot of responsibility. And over the last couple of years, there's so much irresponsibility of content creation.
Yeah.
That I joked that our episode was, what did I say? Technology is it what, how did I word it? Like, technology is going to be the end of us.
Yes. That was one of the original ideas of the title for this video, podcast video.
But you have to create these moments. It's moments. It isn't like you're saying, if you don't do it over the course of the year, well, listen, it's just like working out. Look,
Yeah, exactly.
I'm not telling you to work out every day, but take a moment in the middle of your day to go for a walk. That builds up over time. Take a moment to think about or rethink about who
Yeah.
are you following on social media. Because if you're following people that are negative about everything, or you're following people who are spreading misinformation, then you are taking all of that in. Your brain is a computer, and eventually it is going to crash.
Yeah.
That's what I have to say about that.
And that's the end of the podcast.
No, I think we have one more. I think we have one more thing we wanted to talk about. We wanted to talk about, how really that is about making technology a thinking partner, because you do want it to be a thinking partner. Rick and I are not pressing each other to work so hard that we are crashing. I did crash for a bit after ISTE because of all the things I was doing.
I think we both did, to be honest.
But I think what we want to do, we want to talk about just the responsibility. Do not go all into just AI. Explore some other things, Web3, any of those emerging technologies. Go explore a different tool that you haven't been in. Find an app that is going to limit your use of technology. Jess Boyce, if you aren't familiar with her, she also has ADHD. She gave me a tool. You could put an app on your phone and it will not allow you to go to certain apps until a certain time has passed. And that I was like, she's like, it helps me be more productive at work, or it helps me get done what I need to do in the day. And so I'm not doom scrolling or getting pulled into something. So
those never work for me, because I just go, screw it, I'm going to turn it off now.
I know. But that's what I'm saying. It's like making those decisions, right? Or plugging your phone in a different room overnight, which is something that
it's willpower. That's all it is. It's down to what are you going to do for yourself, and not listening to the little voice in your head that's saying, "Oh, just continue,
just 5 more minutes."
5
because
more
that's
minutes,
what I do. 5 more minutes. I
you do it
use Siri
so often.
I do use Siri. I'm like, Siri, 5 more minutes for my TikTok scrolling.
Yeah, every single time. But I think as well, just rather than just looking, because you mentioned a lot of technology there, Tish, to kind of limit the technology, which is, I know in some aspects is using the technology to help you reduce your technology usage.
I know it sounds crazy. I know.
It does a little bit, but I would agree that yes, if you find that beneficial and find that useful, that's fine. What I would say is there is no harm in going backwards a bit.
Oh, 100%.
And going back to old processes.
Let's go back to Juicebox Confessionals, Rick. I have a game for you today.
Okay. Just completely segue as again.
We're 48 minutes in. We've covered our topics. I mean, you could keep talking for another 20 minutes, but don't you want to have a fun game because we're the Play at 3 podcast?
No.
Well, thank you for being a guest today, Rick. Thank you for being a guest on my podcast.
On your podcast? Oh, my God.
You said no. You said you didn't want to do it. So, okay.
She's already kicking me off the podcast.
That's not true. Okay, so we're going to do like 3 rounds, and I'm just going to ask you one question per round. But this round is like, it's called When It Hit Fast Forward. So it's like a tech shock moment. Okay, so it's aligned with what we've been talking about. I'm trying to find one that is really going to put you on a soapbox or point out something. Okay.
I think I've been on my soapbox up and down like three, 4, 5 times in this episode.
We should make a Play Ed 3 bingo card. I think this is a great idea. And for every time that Rick is on a soapbox, you get to mark it off, and then we'll put some squares for me, and then we'll give away a prize. Can we do that, Rick?
I mean,
will you make a bingo card for our listeners, digital? I mean, it'll have them on their phones, but
yeah, I mean, again, if we want to go back to the whole Tish looks at things at a high level, I go more granular. I'm now asking, how the hell are we doing that? So his since Tish
more
was
info on that to come.
Tish was in business mode before we got into this podcast and wearing a suit and looking professional. I'll use a professional term. Let's take this offline.
Yeah, let's
and
take it
we'll
offline.
take it offline, and
I'll put
we'll
the plan
just,
in a spreadsheet
yeah,
for you.
we'll brainstorm this.
Okay, here's your prompt for this.
Okay, what's my prompt?
What's a piece of tech you swore you'd never use, but now you can't live without it?
Swear I'd never use. That's a really hard one, because at the same time
you're holding them. You're wearing them right now.
Yeah, no, I used these in the past, and then Tish was like, Rick, your audio quality is absolutely rubbish. I'm going to get you some wired headphones. And I was like, no, I moved to Bluetooth because I wanted to get away from wired headphones.
And then evidence proved what?
Well, the quality, yes, is better audio-wise, and even listening is better, but also Bluetooth isn't good for this. I've got a microphone, so the audio is...
Round 2.
You're not letting me finish. Fine, it's round 2. No, continue. Go on.
Get reflective and spicy.
Okay. What am I reflecting on, and what am I getting spicy about?
Hold on. Okay. What's You've already answered a couple of these, actually, because you've been on so many soapboxes for this episode.
I think there's going to be like a Rick Soapbox miniseries.
I think so. What's one digital behavior that would shock your 2005 self?
The volume of time I've spent on my phone during a single day.
Oh. Yeah.
Because I remember, like, let's think 2005. That would have been, I'd have probably had one of those Samsung flip phones that were past the Nokia's 3310s and all that with Snake on it. So we're a little bit more advanced, but to the level that I'm on my phone, I think would shock my 2005 self.
Don't you think everybody, it is embarrassing.
Everyone that has grown up with like non-color phones. I think when you can say
grown up with a phone plugged into the wall with the cord, right?
Yeah, or had to unplug the phone line to
do your internet searches. Yep. So, yeah, I think that's a good one. Okay, this is round 3, and this is called the time machine.
Ooh, I like the sound of this one. I've got like Back to the Future humming in my head. Or Back in Time.
I almost bought that on Apple TV yesterday. What app or device do you think we will be embarrassed about 10 years from now?
Apple device?
No, just app. App or device.
Or device.
The app or the device that you think we'll be embarrassed about in 10 years.
That I would be, or humanity would be?
You or us, however you want to answer that.
It's a difficult one to say, because it's like I look at some of the, like, if I look to the very first phone that I had, which was a Philips, and the fact that Philips now does light bulbs and stuff. I mean, I'm embarrassed that I was using that back in the day. I had my first laptop was a Dell, and that was a brick. I think we're gonna come to a point where we are actually going to be embarrassed of the iPhones that we've had, because I think technology is going to go in a completely different direction at some point, whatever that is, and we are going to be embarrassed on, oh my God, I used to hold this thing to my face, or I used to listen to what? You could only listen to music and watch movies on your phone. Oh, I can do all these other things now. Like, I can order pizza with
my mind.
30 minutes. God, that's slow, and all this kind of stuff. So, yeah, I mean, it's difficult to say what technology is actually going to be like in the future.
Okay, then for personal, give it a personal spin then. What are you going to be embarrassed about using?
I don't know. I mean,
I already
everything
have one. I already have one from like a
This
while
is
ago.
really, really hard for me. Go on, what's
for me, it
yours?
would be Snapchat. I had Snapchat for a hot minute, and now I see people like grown people, like people our age, that maybe shouldn't have Snapchat for whatever they're using it for. Snapchat is one of those where I'm like, I don't think we're gonna be proud that we use that, actually.
Yeah, I mean, I'd never used Snapchat. I just didn't get it.
Okay, well, here's a quick fire. So you're gonna have to be quick to the draw, Rick.
Go on.
Quick Rick.
Quick Rick. Okay.
All right, you ready? You are going to either use the word escalated or appreciate after each word or statement.
Escalated or appreciated. Okay.
Okay. Smart homes.
Appreciated.
Social media filters.
Social media filters. Escalated?
I mean, you're asking me, these are your answers, so escalated.
Did you say,
AI.
Did you say depreciated or
Appreciate.
Like, I appreciate them.
Yes.
Okay. Social media, whatever the other one. Escalated.
Escalated. Okay.
Escalated.
AI generated influencers.
Escalated.
Self-checkout.
Oh, appreciate that. The fact that when you and Ryan were here in the, I know I'm tangent, but when you and Ryan were in the UK, and Ryan was amazed. Ryan McGuinness, by the way, if anybody's asking.
Shout out, Ryan.
Was amazed that we had those self scanners, so you could go around and scan the products and put it straight in your bag.
Yeah.
I love those.
Going to Tesco with the two of you was so fun.
Yeah, it was. Anyway, sorry, continue.
Okay, deep fake videos.
Escalated.
EdTech gamification.
Appreciated.
24/7 notifications.
Escalated.
Online dating.
Escalated.
Voice assistants.
Appreciated.
E-scooters.
Oh, escalated. I hate e-scooters.
They're so dangerous.
So
I rode
dangerous.
one time and I was horrible at it. And
no,
I've heard of so many people having accidents on them.
Yeah, because it's such a
What
small
about
wheel.
self-driving cars? Appreciated or escalated?
Ooh. This one's, I would say, escalated at the moment, but I think in the future we'll appreciate them.
Mm-hmm.
It's because there's too many cars that aren't automated yet. Once the balance switches and everything's automated, then I think we'll appreciate them. Like, traffic wouldn't exist
I don't think
anymore.
I'm going to appreciate that, actually. I'm pretty resistant to buying a new car right now because I just want an older car. I want one from before.
Oh, yeah, I'm not getting an electric car.
Like,
if I want a new car, I'm not getting electric.
Okay, but what if we don't have a choice and it's like all self-driving cars? That's where we're at.
Our generation will be resistant.
Mm-hmm.
The newer generations, because they'll be born into that, they will just be used to it. Like the current generation's being used to mobile phones, smartphones, all that kind of stuff. It's an expectation.
Like, that's just what it is.
That's what it is.
Maybe I would even say they might go back to the retro way too. They might be tired of it. It'd be good to have a student on. Maybe. Should we ask Jace to be a guest on our podcast? Jace and his friends, maybe we could get them to be a guest and we could ask them some of these questions because I think their perspectives would be different, but maybe surprising. To what we anticipate. We'll see.
Maybe. Okay.
Well, thank you for joining the Playa 3 podcast and joining this episode of Rick on His Soapbox. Just kidding. It's called Technology. Did it escalate quickly? And we'd love to hear from you. What topics do you want us to talk about? What things do you want to ask us? This is the point where you can ask us whatever you want. We can talk about tea. We can talk about technology. We can talk about soapbox things if you want.
Or debating, Tish.
Yes, you can debate. Yes, we'd love to have you join and debate. If you want someone on our podcast, please send us an email at pe3info@gmail.com and follow us on all the social media places that you are doom scrolling. We want you to doom scroll our podcast. Rick? What do you have to say for our viewers before we sign off?
Click the like button.
And the reshare button.
And the reshare button. Or the follow button, or the subscribe button, or whatever platform you're watching.
Bring all of your
Either way,
friends.
if you've made it this far, thank you for actually listening to the whole episode. Like, we actually appreciate you. And we would really appreciate if you actually did one of those things that we said, because it does like bump it up on the like algorithms and all that jargon. If we didn't have algorithms, then we'd be not having to ask you. But we do appreciate it. And
until next time, we will see you again very soon. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for being a part of this episode. Continue the conversation with us online. Subscribe and follow, and let us know if you'd like to join as a guest or if there's someone you'd like to hear from.
We'd love to connect with you on X, Instagram, and TikTok. All links and show notes will be available in the episode description. Until next time, keep learning, growing, and playing.